Mohenjo-daro, Indus Valley, the buildings turned to glass. The sand turned to glass, and the bodies are still laying in the street right now today, holding hands, never been scavenged by animals.
They had no historical evidence of that. There's no text. It was not mentioned in any books. It was
Really?
Yep. It was found as an accident. They found it by accident.
This is evidence of a nuclear war. That's 3,000 plus degree temperature weapons fire.
They explain how the devastation looks, right? They talk about how high the temperature goes, how it looked like a sun when the explosion happened, how all the vegetation was completely wiped off and there were no plants or trees growing for the next 12 to 25 years.
They describe them as weapons that once released can't be revolted or can't be turned back, and that they will obliterate any area, any city. And they say that one of the weapons can destroy any man on 3 worlds. It's crazy stuff. This is where Oppenheimer got his famous quote when he obviously tested the nuke.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
In the scorching deserts of southern Pakistan lies an archaeological site that defies explanation. A city frozen in time, now shrouded in mystery and the whispers of lost civilizations. Welcome to Mohenjo-daro. Once a thriving metropolis during the height of the ancient Indus Valley civilization, this city's remains have puzzled researchers for nearly a century. But why does this city, over 4,000 years old, seem to vanish suddenly from history? Could it be that some catastrophic event wiped it off the map? Perhaps even turning parts of it into glass? Discovered in 1922 by an Indian archaeologist, R.D. Banerjee, Mohenjo-daro is located on the banks of the Indus River. What the world came to learn through its excavations was the stunning complexity of this civilization. At its peak, Mohenjo-daro housed as many as 40,000 inhabitants. But the real intrigue lies in its infrastructure, a grid-like city layout, advanced water drainage systems, and meticulously built homes made of baked bricks, a city so well organized that it rivals modern urban planning techniques. But who were these people, and what led to their mysterious disappearance? Let's start by looking at what they built. The city is constructed using uniform, fired bricks, with some weighing over 15 pounds. The scale of the city is impressive, spanning more than 300 hectares, roughly the size of 500 football fields. Each house was carefully positioned to align with the cardinal directions. But how did an ancient civilization develop such precision without modern technology? A central structure, known as the Great Bath, is another remarkable feature of Mohenjo-daro. Measuring 12 meters long and 7 meters wide, the bath is built with watertight bricks and a sophisticated drainage system, indicating that water held immense significance for the people of Mohenjo-daro. It is one of the earliest public waterworks ever discovered. But what was the purpose of this massive structure? Was it purely for hygiene, or did it have deeper, possibly spiritual, significance? Let's pause to consider the most perplexing discovery. Some sections of the ruins appear to have been subjected to extremely high temperatures, enough to melt or vitrify stone, turning it into glass. This phenomenon is known as vitrification, something typically associated with nuclear explosions or volcanic activity. Yet, no evidence of volcanic activity or natural firestorms has been found in the region. Could it be that some ancient technology, lost to time, was capable of unleashing such destructive energy? Some theorists have gone so far as to suggest that Mohenjo-daro might have been destroyed by an ancient nuclear explosion. It sounds far-fetched, but the vitrified remains beg for an explanation. But the mysteries don't end there. Among the discoveries were over 40 human skeletons, lying in the streets and various parts of the city. These remains were not buried in the traditional sense, indicating that whatever caused the downfall of Mohenjo-daro was sudden and violent. Many of these skeletons showed no signs of trauma, yet some were found in postures suggesting they were fleeing from something. What could have caused such mass panic and sudden death? Was it a natural disaster, a catastrophic flood, or perhaps something even more terrifying? Now, consider this. The massive stone blocks and materials used in the city's construction were not native to the immediate region. In fact, some of the stones used in Mohenjo-daro's construction had to be transported from quarries located over 300 kilometers away. How did they manage to move such enormous stones without the aid of modern machinery? Could they have had access to technologies we still don't fully understand? This comparison often draws parallels to the pyramids of Egypt and the stone structures of South America, where similarly, large stones were transported over great distances. The sheer size and weight of the materials used in these ancient cities challenge our understanding of what was possible in the ancient world. Another fascinating question arises when we consider the precision of Mohenjo-daro's urban layout. The city's advanced planning and uniformity seem almost out of place in the ancient world. How did a society living over 4,000 years ago manage to create such an organized and structured cityscape without modern surveying tools? It's as though they were working with knowledge that far exceeded their time. Could they have been influenced by some advanced, now forgotten culture? Some theorists have even suggested extraterrestrial intervention, pointing to the similarity between Mohenjo-daro's design and other mysterious ancient sites across the world. But what happened to this great city? Why was it abandoned so suddenly? While some archaeologists believe that environmental factors, such as flooding from the nearby Indus River, might have played a role, the evidence of extreme heat and vitrified ruins adds an ominous layer to the mystery. Could the people of Mohenjo-daro have been the victims of an ancient catastrophe so powerful that it erased them from history almost instantly? As we delve deeper into the mysteries of Mohenjo-daro, we must also consider the broader context of the Indus Valley civilization. This civilization was one of the largest of the ancient world, spanning parts of modern-day Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan. Yet despite its vast size, we know shockingly little about its people, their language, or their beliefs. Their script remains undeciphered, and their disappearance from history is as sudden as it is puzzling. And what about the artifacts found here? Pottery, jewelry, and even toys have been unearthed, but perhaps the most enigmatic discovery is the so-called dancing girl, a bronze statuette of a young woman that seems to exude a sense of sophistication and artistic flair far beyond what we would expect from a society of this age. Who was she? What role did she play in this mysterious civilization? Now, what could have caused a thriving civilization to vanish seemingly overnight? Let's begin with the most debated theory, the possibility of an ancient nuclear catastrophe. At first glance, the idea of nuclear technology existing over 4,000 years ago seems impossible. Yet, the vitrified ruins, sections of stone turned to glass by intense heat, suggest that something extraordinary happened here. In the 1970s, physicist Dr. Robert Oppenheimer, who led the Manhattan Project during World War II, was asked if the nuclear bomb tested in 1945 was the world's first atomic explosion. His response was chilling. Well, yes, in modern times. Was he hinting at an ancient nuclear event? Could Mohenjo-daro have been the site of such an explosion? Adding to the intrigue is the lack of traditional warfare evidence in the city. No mass graves, no clear signs of battle, no damage to the structures that would suggest a large-scale conflict. Instead, the bodies found in the city were seemingly untouched by violence, lying in the streets as though something much more sinister and sudden occurred. Could this have been an accident, a release of untamed energy, or something more deliberate, akin to a weapon of unimaginable power? Then, there's the question of the city's eerie disappearance. Unlike other ancient cities that gradually declined over time, Mohenjo-daro appears to have been abandoned swiftly, almost as if its inhabitants knew that staying would lead to their demise.
Imagine a city lost to time, hidden within the fiery embrace of sandstone cliffs. A place where the echoes of a vanished civilization whisper on the wind. This is Petra, a wonder carved by human hands over 2,000 years ago, then swallowed by the desert sands. Who were the people who built this monumental city? What secrets lie buried within its tombs and temples? Join us as we journey into the heart of Petra, unlocking the mysteries of a lost world, a world of ingenious engineering, astronomical alignments. Petra, the rose-red city, half as old as time and twice as enigmatic.
Deep in the rugged landscapes of southern Jordan lies an ancient city carved entirely from rose-red sandstone cliffs, a place so extraordinary it defies imagination. What secrets are etched into its time-worn facades? Who crafted these monumental wonders, and how did they vanish into history? This is Petra, the lost city of the Nabateans. Rediscovered in 1812 by Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt. It opened a window into a forgotten civilization that thrived over 2,000 years ago. As we traverse its narrow passageways and towering canyons, we'll unravel the enigmas surrounding this ancient metropolis. Our journey begins at the Sik, a dramatic entrance formed by a natural geological fault. Stretching over a kilometre, its winding path is flanked by cliffs soaring up to 80 meters high. Sunlight filters through the narrow gap above, illuminating the path and heightening our anticipation. Emerging from the Sik, we're greeted by the awe-inspiring sight of Al-Khazne, the treasury. Standing approximately 40 meters tall and 28 meters wide, about the height of a 14-story building, it's carved directly into the sandstone cliff. Its elaborate Corinthian columns, pediments and sculptures fuse Hellenistic and Eastern architectural influences. How did the Nabateans, with limited technology, achieve such precision and artistry? The treasury's purpose remains debated. Was it a royal tomb, a temple, or something else entirely? Local legends speak of hidden treasures within, a theory that has captivated treasure hunters for generations. Delving deeper, we encounter the street of facades, lined with tombs and houses. Each structure tells a story, their intricate carvings hinting at Nabatean beliefs and way of life. The royal tombs, the urn tomb, silk tomb, and Corinthian tomb, showcase the grandeur afforded to Petra's elite. Ascending 800 rock-cut steps to the monastery, Ad-Der, we meet one of Petra's most impressive monuments. Measuring 47 meters wide and 48 meters high, nearly the height of a 16-story skyscraper and wider than an Olympic swimming pool is long, it dwarfs the treasury. Named for the crosses carved inside, it was repurposed as a Christian church during the Byzantine period. What ceremonies took place within these sacred halls? Petra is the rose-red city half as old as time, penned John William Bergen, capturing its timeless allure. But Petra's marvels extend beyond grand facades. The city's ingenious water management is perhaps its most remarkable achievement. In a desert receiving less than 15 centimeters of annual rainfall, the Nabateans developed an extensive network of dams, cisterns, and channels. This allowed them to capture and store rainwater, transforming Petra into a lush oasis capable of supporting up to 30,000 people. Recent discoveries have unveiled complex hydraulic engineering rivaling modern systems. Ceramic pipelines and rock-cut channels demonstrate sophisticated understanding of hydraulics. Petra's location made it a critical nexus of trade routes connecting Arabia, Egypt, Syria, and the Mediterranean. Wealth from the incense and spice trade fueled its prosperity. However, shifts in trade routes and the rise of sea trade led to its eventual abandonment. Nearby, Little Petra, Sikh al-Barid, adds to the historical tapestry. This smaller canyon features buildings and tombs carved into cliffs, possibly serving as a suburb or caravan rest stop. The painted house within boasts one of the few surviving Nabatean frescoes, a rare glimpse into their artistry. The grandeur of Petra invites comparisons to other megalithic structures. Stonehenge's sarsen stones weigh up to 25 tons each, transported and erected vertically. In contrast, Petra's monuments are intricately carved directly into sandstone cliffs, requiring precise removal rather than movement of stone. This subtractive process demanded a different engineering mastery, much like a sculptor releasing a figure from marble. Comparing Petra to Machu Picchu reveals fascinating parallels. Both ancient cities adapted to challenging terrains, showcasing their civilization's ability to harmonize with nature. The Inca engineered terraces and water channels to manage rainfall, akin to the Nabateans' water systems. Culturally, both sites reflect deep spiritual connections. Machu Picchu aligns with astronomical events, and researchers suggest Petra's design incorporates celestial alignments. Could these similarities indicate a universal approach among ancient peoples to architecture and astronomy? To grasp Petra's scale, imagine the megalithic blocks used in its construction. Some stones weigh several tons, comparable to the largest blocks in the Great Pyramid of Giza, which weigh up to 80 tons. Yet unlike the pyramids, where stones were quarried, transported and assembled, Petra's grand edifices were hewn directly from cliffs. This required not only architectural vision, but precise execution. Any error was irreversible. It's akin to carving an entire cathedral into a mountainside, a feat challenging even today. Conspiracy theories have swirled around Petra. Some speculate it was more than a trading hub, a repository of ancient knowledge or sacred relics. Theories suggest the Ark of the Covenant or extraterrestrial artifacts could be hidden within its depths. These notions, while lacking evidence, fuel the imagination and underscore Petra's enigmatic allure. Popular culture further cements Petra's place in modern mythology. In 1989, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade featured the treasury as the entrance to the Temple of the Sun, where the Holy Grail was hidden. This portrayal introduced Petra to a global audience, sparking renewed interest. As Indiana Jones said, "It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage."
I mean, it's just crazy. We've talked about, alternative theories to how the pyramids were built.
Yeah. I'm willing to accept that the Great Pyramid was largely completed by the ancient Egyptians. But remember that the ancient Egyptians tell us in many of their texts that everything they knew was a legacy. It was all an inheritance of the gods, and I don't construe the gods as aliens.
When we think of pyramids, our minds immediately journey to Egypt. The towering Giza Plateau, with its majestic stone structures, has long captured the world's fascination. But what if we told you that Egypt didn't build the first pyramids? Long before the sands of the Sahara surrounded the grand monuments of the pharaohs, a lesser-known civilization to the south built pyramids that have stood for millennia. Today, these mysterious structures quietly guard their ancient secrets. This is the story of Meroe, an ancient city in the heart of modern-day Sudan, where the first man-made pyramids may have risen and where we begin to unravel a mystery that challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient history. Let us set the scene. We are not in Egypt, but in the vast expanse of the Sudanese desert. Here, nestled in a stark, arid landscape, lie over 200 pyramids, concentrated in a city that once rivaled the grandeur of any ancient Egyptian metropolis. This city is Meroe, the capital of the powerful kingdom of Kush, a civilization that flourished for nearly 1,000 years. But Meroe's legacy is far more than a simple footnote in Egyptian history. It's a place where the lines between myth, architecture, and human achievement blur into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of antiquity. Our modern awareness of Meroe began in the 19th century when European explorers ventured into the Sudanese desert. In 1821, they uncovered these stunning pyramids, which had been hidden for centuries beneath the sands. The explorers found a cluster of pyramids, some grand and towering, others smaller and more modest, yet all steeply angled with narrow bases, distinctly different from the broad, sloping forms of Egyptian pyramids. And while Egypt's pyramids were grand tombs for pharaohs, Meroe's served a different purpose. They were built for nobles and royals alike. But when exactly were these pyramids built and why? Archaeologists determined that Meroe's pyramids were constructed between 300 BCE and 350 CE, during a time when the Kingdom of Kush was a powerful force in Africa. This makes Meroe's pyramids younger than Egypt's Old Kingdom pyramids, but their purpose and design remain equally as fascinating. Many scholars theorize that Meroe's architectural style was influenced by earlier structures from the region, potentially dating back even further. Transporting the massive stones used to build these pyramids was no small feat. Some of the stones were quarried from sites over 25 miles away and weighed several tons. How could an ancient civilization lacking modern tools and technology achieve such monumental tasks? The logistics of transporting and constructing these structures in an unforgiving desert environment continue to puzzle researchers. To put this in perspective, the Great Pyramid of Giza contains stones weighing up to 80 tons, whereas the largest pyramid at Meroe, the Pyramid of Amenishaketo, used stones weighing between 1 and 2 tons. While lighter, these stones were no less challenging to transport, raising questions about how these ancient builders accomplished such feats. What's more intriguing is that Meroe's pyramids were built in a different context than those of Egypt. While Egyptian pyramids served as grand burial tombs for kings and pharaohs, the pyramids at Meroe were constructed for a broader group of nobles, queens, and princes. But why did the people of Meroe embrace pyramid building at all? Inside the tombs of Meroe, archaeologists found a remarkable fusion of Egyptian and African symbolism. Hieroglyphics and carvings covered the walls, but the faces depicted were distinctly African, signifying a culture that blended Egyptian influences with its own deep-rooted identity. Meroe wasn't merely a reflection of Egypt, it was a civilization that commanded power and respect in its own right. Stretching over 600 miles along the Nile, the Kingdom of Kush became a dominant force in trade and culture across northeast Africa. Yet the pyramids of Meroe raise more questions than they answer. Why, after centuries of success, did the Kingdom of Kush turn to pyramid building? Some scholars believe these pyramids were intended to strengthen Meroe's political and spiritual power, symbolizing divine kingship and cementing the kingdom's claim to leadership in the region. Others argue that they served as a tribute to Egyptian influences, while the most radical theory suggests that Meroe may have been the true originator of pyramid building. Let's consider this possibility. Recent archaeological evidence has revealed older, smaller pyramid-like structures in Sudan, dating as far back as the 8th century BCE, long before the construction of Egypt's famous monuments. These burial mounds, known as tumuli, could have evolved into the grand pyramids we see at Meroe today. Could it be that Egypt's most iconic structures were influenced by the Cushites rather than the other way around? It's a theory that challenges the traditional narrative of history, suggesting that Meroe's civilization may have pioneered innovations long before their Egyptian neighbors. As we dig deeper into the sands of history, the mysteries surrounding Meroe's pyramids only grow. Could the origins of pyramid building lie not in Egypt, but in this forgotten kingdom to the south? Meroe was more than just a city of pyramids, it was a thriving center of industry and trade with remarkable advancements that rivaled many other ancient civilizations. One of Meroe's most significant achievements was its mastery of ironworking. Scattered across the landscape, archaeologists have uncovered iron furnaces, a testament to a sophisticated industry that flourished long before many other ancient civilizations had harnessed such technology. This begs the question, how did the Kingdom of Kush develop these advanced techniques? Some believe that the iron was used to forge weapons, providing the Cushite warriors with a formidable edge in battle. Others argue that Meroe's iron was used for agricultural tools, enabling the cultivation of vast swathes of fertile land along the Nile, and allowing the kingdom to sustain its growing population. But perhaps the most intriguing theory suggests that Meroe's iron products were traded far and wide, reaching the Mediterranean and perhaps even India, indicating that this kingdom played a central role in the ancient global economy. Equally fascinating is Meroe's sophisticated water management system. Archaeologists have discovered an elaborate network of reservoirs and dams that allowed the people of Meroe to control the seasonal floodwaters of the Nile, ensuring a stable supply of water for agriculture. This level of engineering sophistication was far ahead of its time, surpassing even some of the water management techniques used in Egypt. Could it be that Meroe, not Egypt, held the key to ancient water engineering? And how much of this knowledge was passed down or lost over the centuries? But not all of Meroe's mysteries come from clear evidence. Some of the most tantalizing questions remain shrouded in conspiracy and speculation. One popular theory suggests that Meroe's decline was not a result of natural collapse but of deliberate sabotage. After the Romans conquered Egypt, could they have seen Meroe as a threat? Did they systematically erase this powerful kingdom from history to secure their dominance over the Nile region? This theory becomes even more intriguing when we consider the state of the pyramids themselves. Unlike the carefully maintained pyramids of Egypt, the pyramids of Meroe were intentionally defaced. Their smooth limestone casing was stripped away, leaving them exposed to the harsh desert winds. But who did this, and why? Was it Roman forces seeking to obliterate Meroe's legacy, or was there an internal conflict that led to the destruction of these grand monuments? Then there are whispers of a lost treasure buried within the pyramids, a fortune that has yet to be discovered. But perhaps the most valuable treasure Meroe has to offer is not gold or jewels, but knowledge. The understanding of an ancient world that continues to challenge everything we thought we knew about history. The pyramids of Meroe may not be as famous as the pyramids of Giza, but they are more numerous and cover a broader landscape that once teemed with life and activity. The construction techniques, while different, display an ingenuity that rivals that of Egypt's builders. And while Egypt's pyramids were built for a select few god kings, Meroe's were designed for a wider range of society, reflecting a more diverse and inclusive social structure. Mystery, intrigue, and a lost civilization waiting to be rediscovered. This is the true legacy of Meroe. As the sands continue to shift over the ancient city, they may one day reveal even more secrets about this extraordinary civilization. Could it be that Meroe, not Egypt, is where the story of pyramids and so much more truly began?
Like many travelers before me, I too have reached the gates of Timbuktu. Timbuktu the mysterious, Timbuktu the holder of secrets, Timbuktu the center of knowledge. Timbuktu was one of the wonders of the ancient world. It was a type of Shangri-La or Atlantis, where people thought that there was a land beyond the deserts of the Sahara, where gold lined the streets, and it was a type of sumptuous kingdom.
Beneath the scorching sun and swirling sands of the Sahara Desert lies a city whose very name invokes mystery and wonder, Timbuktu. Once a beacon of trade, knowledge, and wealth, today it is known by few, understood by even fewer. Yet, Timbuktu is not just a relic of the past. It is a testament to human ambition, ingenuity, and survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. But how did this fabled city come to be? How could a thriving center of wealth and knowledge emerge in the heart of a seemingly inhospitable desert?
Timbuktu has different phases within its existence, and all of the groups participated in the different phases of development.
Our journey begins in the early 14th century, during the reign of the Malian emperor Mansa Musa. His wealth was so immense that his pilgrimage to Mecca reportedly devalued gold in regions he passed through. Yet Musa's most enduring legacy was not his riches, it was the flourishing of Timbuktu, a city destined to become a hub for commerce and scholarship. The first mystery of Timbuktu, however, lies not in its origin, but in what was discovered centuries later. In the early 19th century, European explorers, lured by tales of an elusive golden city, crossed the Sahara in search of wealth. What they found, instead, was an ancient city built from colossal blocks of stone and mud brick. Structures like the Jingwereber Mosque and Sankor University stood as monumental testaments to human craftsmanship, their towers defying the desert's harsh elements for centuries. The first question emerges here: how were these structures built? Some of the stones used in Timbuktu's buildings weighed up to 2 tons and were transported from quarries more than 30 miles away. Modern engineers remain puzzled by how this was achieved without advanced machinery. How could ancient builders move such massive stones across the unforgiving landscape of the Sahara? Did they possess knowledge that modern civilization has lost? This mystery is the first clue to Timbuktu's mysterious past. An engineering prowess seemingly out of place in a desert that by all accounts should have made such construction impossible.
They found that there were these actually very, very sophisticated, very complex mud brick structures on a very large scale.
But as we look deeper into Timbuktu's history, we discover something even more astonishing. By the 15th century, Timbuktu had become a thriving intellectual hub, housing some of the greatest libraries in the world. Manuscripts covering subjects such as astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and law were studied and preserved here. Scholars from across the Islamic world traveled to this remote city, transforming it into a center of learning that rivaled some of the greatest educational institutions of the time. And yet, one question lingers. How did such an intellectual center thrive in a place so isolated?
It became an intellectual center because the scholars generally were traveling with the caravans.
Was it simply Timbuktu's strategic location along trade routes, or could there be something more? Some researchers believe that Timbuktu's placement precisely at the edge of the Sahara and along the Niger River may have held deeper significance. Could ancient civilizations have chosen this location based on an advanced understanding of geography or even astronomy? A provocative theory suggests that Timbuktu might lie on one of the Earth's natural energy pathways, ley lines, that have been revered by ancient cultures across the world. Could its success as a city of knowledge and wealth have been linked to its placement on one of these energy nodes? As we ponder these questions, another mystery unfolds. Recent discoveries have revealed that many of the original manuscripts from Timbuktu's libraries, some dating back over 700 years, are missing. Where did they go? Were they destroyed or were they stolen? Whispers of a conspiracy emerge here, an organized effort perhaps by European colonial powers to seize and suppress Timbuktu's ancient knowledge. Some believe the manuscripts were hidden by local scholars to protect them from invaders, and that their secrets remain buried, known only to a select few. Today, historians and treasure hunters alike search for these lost manuscripts, hoping to unlock the wisdom they contain. But this brings us to an even greater mystery. What exactly was in these manuscripts? Could they have contained knowledge that the world wasn't ready for? Advanced technologies or philosophies that challenged the dominant worldviews of their time?
I want to know what else is going to be found that hasn't been investigated yet at all. We're just touching the edge of a huge mystery.
Were these manuscripts lost to history or intentionally kept from the world? As we explore these questions, we are reminded that Timbuktu's story is not just about the past. It is a cautionary tale about the fragility of human progress. What knowledge have we, as a civilization, lost over the millennia? Could the lost wisdom of Timbuktu have changed the course of human history? As we dive deeper into the story of Timbuktu, an unsettling thought begins to emerge. What if the true wealth of this city was not in gold, but in knowledge? And what if that knowledge was too dangerous for the world to possess? Timbuktu's scholars compiled manuscripts on topics ranging from astronomy to medicine, from theology to mathematics. By the 15th century, Timbuktu housed an estimated 700,000 manuscripts, forming one of the largest intellectual archives of the time. But here's where the mystery deepens. Much of this vast collection has vanished. Entire libraries were raided, collections disappeared, and even today, many manuscripts remain unaccounted for. Some of the surviving texts mention ideas that seem far ahead of their time, such as advanced mathematical concepts and detailed astronomical observations. There are even cryptic references to knowledge of the cosmos that surpasses what we believed was understood in the 14th and 15th centuries. Could it be that Timbuktu's scholars possessed knowledge far beyond what we know today? And if so, who or what was responsible for the suppression of this information? Some researchers point to the colonial history of Africa. As European powers began their conquest of the continent in the 19th century, they systematically dismantled much of the region's cultural heritage. And there are rumors that the French in particular seized many manuscripts from Timbuktu and shipped them back to Europe. Others suggest that these texts were deliberately hidden or destroyed because they contained information that could challenge the scientific revolution taking place in Europe. The truth remains elusive, but what we do know is that Timbuktu's intellectual legacy has only been partially uncovered. Many of the remaining manuscripts are locked away in private collections, deteriorating from neglect. Could these hidden texts hold the answers to the mysteries that still surround Timbuktu? But the intrigue does not end with the manuscripts. Archaeologists working in the region have uncovered ruins of other ancient cities near Timbuktu, suggesting the area was part of a larger, interconnected civilization. Some of the stones used in Timbuktu's structures weigh several tons and were transported from quarries miles away. How could these feats of engineering have been accomplished without modern machinery? And could there be a connection between the builders of Timbuktu and the ancient Egyptians? Adding to the mystery, some of these structures remain unfinished, as though the builders abruptly stopped their work. Why would a city so rich in knowledge and wealth suddenly fall into decline? Environmental changes may provide part of the answer. As the Sahara continued to expand, trade routes shifted, and the resources that once sustained Timbuktu dwindled. But others suggest that external forces may have played a role. Some theorists argue that jealous foreign powers or even secret societies conspired to bring about the city's downfall. One of the most persistent theories involves the lost riches of Timbuktu. According to legend, Mansa Musa's wealth wasn't only in gold. He may have possessed ancient artifacts and manuscripts from a forgotten civilization. Some believe that these treasures remain hidden beneath the city, waiting to be discovered. Could Timbuktu's greatest secret be something far more valuable than gold? As we conclude our journey, one thing is clear: Timbuktu's mysteries are far from solved. What knowledge was lost, and why? What still lies hidden beneath centuries of sand and secrecy? Recent efforts to preserve Timbuktu's heritage have been met with both success and challenge. Instability in the region and the harsh desert climate threaten the remnants of the city's once great libraries. Yet, new archaeological techniques such as ground-penetrating radar have revealed that entire sections of the city may still be buried. Could these hidden chambers hold the answers to the questions we've been seeking? Or could they contain even greater secrets? Secrets that could reshape our understanding of history, civilization, and the very nature of knowledge.
I mean, it's just crazy. We've talked about, alternative theories to how the pyramids were built.
Yeah. I'm willing to accept that the Great Pyramid was largely completed by the ancient Egyptians. But remember that the ancient Egyptians tell us in many of their texts that everything they knew was a legacy. It was all an inheritance of the gods, and I don't construe the gods as aliens.
Beneath the sands of modern-day Sudan and southern Egypt lies the story of a civilization whose architectural prowess rivaled that of the ancient Egyptians, the Nubians.
I think we're looking at hints and clues that something is missing in our story.
Known for constructing more pyramids than their northern neighbors, the Nubians created a kingdom of extraordinary wealth, culture, and power. But as the tides of history shifted, their grand structures were gradually reclaimed by the desert, and their story obscured by the sands of time.
I want to know what else is going to be found that hasn't been investigated yet at all. We're just touching the edge of a huge mystery.
Where did this great civilization go? And what secrets do their ancient cities and towering pyramids still hold? The Nubian civilization, nestled along the Nile River in what is now Sudan and southern Egypt, stands as one of Africa's oldest and most fascinating civilizations.
A great civilization that had been destroyed and that had left some survivors who had come to Egypt.
With a history that stretches back to the Neolithic period, Nubia is celebrated for its complex social structure, advanced architectural prowess, and dynamic interactions with ancient Egypt. The story of Nubia's exploration and its archaeological significance unfolds with intriguing depth, particularly when considering its ties to Egypt. During the 19th century, as European powers expanded their reach across Africa, scholars and archaeologists often accompanied colonial expeditions, initially focusing on the pharaonic marvels of Egypt due to their spectacular allure and global fascination. However, these explorers soon ventured into modern-day Sudan, where they uncovered the rich heritage of Nubia.
Yes, there's been some archaeology in the Sahara Desert, but not very much.
Richard Lepsius, a pioneering German Egyptologist, was one of the first to document Nubian antiquities extensively during his Prussian expedition from 1842 to 1845. His meticulous records and sketches provided a detailed overview of Nubian archaeological wealth, charting numerous sites including temples, tombs, and entire settlements previously unknown to the broader scholarly community. Yet these early explorations were not without their challenges. Adventurers faced harsh climates and political instability, and their initial perceptions of Nubia were often clouded by colonial biases, frequently underestimating the sophistication of the Nubian civilization in comparison to their northern neighbors, the Egyptians. Nubia's relationship with Egypt was marked by periods of both conflict and cooperation, with Nubian kings at times dominating Egypt, especially during the 25th dynasty, also known as the Nubian dynasty. This era is crucial for understanding the significant influence Nubians had on Egyptian politics, culture, and religion. Pharaoh Taharqa, a notable ruler of this dynasty, oversaw an era of considerable architectural and cultural achievements, with extensive building projects in both Egypt and Nubia. His contributions in Thebes and Karnak, showcasing a blend of Egyptian and Nubian artistic styles, are particularly well documented. The rediscovery of the Nubian dynasty has been pivotal, highlighting the Nubians not just as conquerors but as integrators who significantly enhanced the Egyptian state's infrastructure and cultural life. Turning our gaze to a broader horizon, comparing Nubia and Mesopotamia offers fascinating parallels. Both civilizations flourished around mighty rivers, the Nile for Nubia and the Tigris-Euphrates for Mesopotamia, providing the fertile ground that supported dense populations and the development of complex societies. Just as Nubia interacted with Egypt, Mesopotamia had dynamic relationships with its neighbors, engaging in both cultural exchanges and military conflicts. Architecturally, while Nubia is renowned for its pyramids and monumental temples, Mesopotamia is credited with the development of ziggurats and the pioneering use of brick as a primary building material. Both regions also developed their writing systems, with cuneiform in Mesopotamia and Meroitic scripts in Nubia, which were vital for administrative, religious, and cultural expressions, remaining crucial for archaeologists and historians in understanding these ancient societies.
If you wish to pass information to a distant future, you wouldn't be smart to just write it down. How can we know that our script is going to be readable by any other culture, let's say 10,000 years in the future?
George Reisner's pioneering archaeological work in Nubia at the beginning of the 20th century has dramatically enhanced our understanding of the ancient kingdom of Kush, shedding light on a civilization that was at various times a rival and a partner to ancient Egypt. As a professor at Harvard University, Reisner was dispatched by the Harvard University Museum of Fine Arts Boston expedition to delve into the historical mysteries of Egypt and Nubia. His investigations in Nubia were among the first to apply scientific archaeological methods in the region, establishing new standards for documenting the excavation process that would influence future archaeological endeavors. One of Reisner's most groundbreaking efforts was his excavation of Kerma, which he identified as a key cultural and political hub of the Kingdom of Kush. This discovery was particularly significant as Kerma's importance had previously been overshadowed by more well-known Egyptian sites. At Kerma, the most striking find was the Defufa, a towering mud brick structure that remains one of the largest and oldest of its kind in the world. Reisner suggested that the Defufa served a religious and possibly administrative function, a topic that continues to spark debate among scholars regarding its specific role. Further excavations at the royal cemeteries in Kerma unearthed a wealth of information about the burial customs of the Cushite elite. The tombs revealed a rich array of grave goods, including pottery, gold, and bronze artifacts, which spoke of a highly sophisticated culture with expansive trade networks. Additionally, Evidence of human sacrifices at these sites suggested that the Cushites engaged in complex funerary rituals, underscoring the depth of their religious beliefs. The layout of Kerma, as uncovered by Reisner, indicated a highly organized urban center, complete with residential areas, production centers, and extensive fortifications. This insight provided a new perspective on the urban planning and architectural sophistication of the Cushite civilization, challenging the then prevailing notion that Nubian culture was perpetually subordinate to that of ancient Egypt. Instead, Reisner's findings highlighted the distinctiveness of the Nubian civilization and its ability to influence and control vast territories, including parts of Egypt at various times. Reisner's systematic approach to excavation and his rigorous documentation practices set new benchmarks in the field of archaeology. He was a pioneer in using stratigraphy for dating purposes, which allowed for a more accurate understanding of the chronological sequence of the sites he excavated. The legacy of his work continues to serve as a foundational resource for subsequent research on Nubia, inspiring generations of archaeologists to further explore the complexities of Nubian history and its interconnections with other ancient civilizations. As we continue to unravel the intricacies of this ancient society, Reisner's contributions remain invaluable, providing a robust framework for understanding not only Nubia's past, but also the broader narratives of ancient world histories. The rediscovery of Nubian pyramids and the archaeological efforts to save Nubian heritage in the wake of the Aswan High Dam's construction have provided profound insights into this ancient civilization.
Archaeology is often driven by accidental finds. Maybe a road is going to be built, maybe a railway is going to be built. A lot of archaeological discoveries are made as a result of that.
Nubian pyramids offer a stark contrast to their Egyptian counterparts. These structures are characterized by their steep and narrow sides and much smaller bases, ranging from approximately 6 to 30 meters across, unlike Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza, which spans over 230 meters at its base. Constructed with stepped courses of horizontally laid stone blocks, Nubian pyramids typically feature a small chapel at the base facing east, housing offerings and a stele with inscriptions about the deceased. The burial practices within these pyramids reveal a lot about the Nubians. These pyramids were not just final resting places, but also a testament to the wealth and power of the Cushite royalty and elites, reflecting a hierarchy and religious practices influenced by, yet distinct from, Egyptian traditions. Moreover, the art and hieroglyphic inscriptions on the walls of these pyramids offer critical insights into the religious beliefs and daily life of the Cushites, often including prayers and spells similar to those found in Egyptian texts, but adapted to local contexts and deities, highlighting the syncretic nature of Nubian religion. Continuing on the theme of comparisons, looking at Nubian and Mayan pyramids side by side offers fascinating insights. Both civilizations built pyramids, yet their purposes and designs reflect different cultural priorities and environmental conditions. Nubian pyramids, primarily serving as tombs for royalty, featured steep sides and narrow bases and were constructed of stone. In contrast, Mayan pyramids, often broader and less steep, served primarily religious purposes, hosting rituals and sacrifices at their summits, often accessible via a series of steps.
This is something, again, that's not widely known. A Judaic community in Ethiopia, they say that their ancestors brought the Ark of the Covenant to Ethiopia.
We're told this in great depth in the Bible and how dangerous that energy is. Well, this concept of winged figures is also very much part of the ancient Egyptian heritage.
So, what exactly is this Ark of the Covenant that everyone keeps talking about? Well, the Bible describes it as a pretty impressive piece of religious furniture. Imagine a chest made of wood but completely overlaid with gold. And that's not all. It had a fancy lid with 2 golden angels facing each other. But its importance wasn't about its bling factor. Inside this chest were the stone tablets containing the 10 Commandments, the foundation of the agreement between God and his chosen people. The Ark wasn't just a box, it was the holiest of holies. It represented God's presence among them. The Bible even gives super specific instructions on how it should be built and handled. Only certain priests were allowed to carry it, and they had to use poles, so no direct touching. Initially, the Ark was kept in a portable tent-like structure called the Tabernacle during their desert travels. Later, it got a permanent upgrade when King Solomon built his temple in Jerusalem, where it rested in the super-sacred inner sanctum. For centuries, the Ark of the Covenant has been a source of endless fascination. This legendary golden chest, as described in the Bible, housed the tablets of the Ten Commandments and symbolized God's presence among his people. But since its disappearance after the Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem, its fate has been shrouded in mystery. Now imagine the headlines. Scientists have pinpointed the Ark's location, ready to reveal one of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever. Or have they? The world of Ark of the Covenant theories is a tangled web of historical speculation, passionate belief, and some outright wild ideas. While serious scholars generally focus on the likely destruction of the Ark in antiquity, the excitement of uncovering this legendary artifact leads to an array of persistent, if often far-fetched, claims about its whereabouts. Let's dive into the supposed secret locations and why the fascination with the Ark refuses to die. Jerusalem, the heart of the Ark's story, remains a prime focus of speculation. The Temple Mount, the site of the ancient Jewish temples, is a maze of tunnels and chambers. Could the Ark be hidden in these unexplored depths? Some historical anecdotes lend a sliver of credence to this idea. Prior to the Roman siege in 70 AD, Jewish priests might have taken extraordinary measures to protect the Ark. This opens the door to legends of secret passages and hidden vaults beneath the sacred site. For the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the question of the Ark's location is settled. They believe it resides in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum. According to their tradition, the Ark was brought to Ethiopia by Menelik Vaporized, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. The Ark is never displayed and is closely guarded, making verification of this claim impossible. However, even the possibility of the Ark's existence in Ethiopia holds immense religious importance as a tangible connection to the object at the heart of Jewish and Christian traditions. Where mainstream archaeology often reaches a dead end, conspiracy theories rush in. One popular narrative involves the Knights Templar, medieval warrior monks who amassed wealth and influence during the Crusades. Did they uncover the Ark in Jerusalem and bring it back to Europe? Though there's no historical support, this idea fuels thrilling stories like the Da Vinci Code, where secret societies and hidden lineages protect the Ark and its supposed extraordinary power. Beyond the Templars, other groups like the Freemasons get drawn into the orbit of the Ark of the Covenant. Conspiracy theorists often imagine these societies as possessing esoteric knowledge, wielding the Ark as a tool of influence or hiding it for their own ends. Some theories go fully into the realm of the fantastical. Think of the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the Ark possesses terrifying destructive might. These ideas stem from biblical passages warning of the danger of approaching the Ark improperly. Could it be a weapon, a repository of supernatural energy? For some, these exaggerated readings open the door to outlandish speculations. The supposed locations of the Ark take us on a global tour. Some theories link the Ark to the Lemba people of southern Africa, who have cultural practices and genetic markers suggesting a possible Middle Eastern origin. Did their ancestors bring the Ark with them on a long-ago migration? Other legends place the Ark in Rome, plundered by the legions who sacked Jerusalem in 70 AD, and rumored to lie hidden beneath the churches or even within the Vatican's vast archives. Stranger still, some claims take the Ark off-planet entirely, painting its origins as extraterrestrial technology gifted to ancient humanity. The classic rectangular chest shape sometimes draws comparisons to Egyptian ritual boxes as well. The Ark's allure persists in its unique blend of power, danger, and the thrill of an unresolved mystery. But where does this perception of power come from? And how has it shaped our understanding of the Ark across time? The Bible itself is the source of the Ark's awe-inspiring reputation. It's not just an object, it's described as a conduit for divine presence. The elaborate rituals for handling it and the stories of dire consequences for touching it, like the unfortunate Uzzah, reinforce the idea that this wasn't merely a fancy storage container. While mainstream science rejects the notion of the Ark as a literal weapon, it doesn't stop some outlandish theories. Ideas about electrical charges, radioactivity, or unknown materials try to explain away the Ark's biblical effects. Whether credible or not, these attempts add to the Ark's mystique. There's always that lingering question in the back of one's mind. What if? Fascinatingly, the concept of sacred chests isn't unique to the Israelites. Ancient Egypt brimmed with portable deity shrines, and other cultures used similar boxes in religious processions. Could the Ark, rather than being wholly unique, be part of a broader cultural tradition from its time period? This adds another layer of complexity and historical grounding to the Ark's story. Even in other Abrahamic faiths, echoes of the Ark's significance linger. The Quran's references to a sacred chest with relics could be a trace of shared tradition. The Baha'i faith goes even further, transforming the Ark entirely into a metaphor for the divine knowledge revealed by prophets throughout history. This shows how potent the Ark's core symbolism remains. Over time, did the Ark shift from a physical object to a symbol of the covenant itself? Replicas might have existed, powerful in their spiritual weight even if no longer containing the original tablets. Medieval art depicts the Ark with dramatic flair, influencing modern representations despite often diverging from biblical descriptions. And of course, pop culture loves the Ark. Remember Indiana Jones and his face-melting encounter? It's the perfect mix of historical enigma and a touch of the supernatural, a guaranteed recipe for a thrilling adventure. This potent mix of history, mystery, and the sheer potential for thrilling narratives keeps the Ark's flame alive. But why does the Ark of the Covenant hold such power over our imaginations? Here's the key. Historical gaps exist. Its disappearance during a turbulent time leaves ample space for speculation. Did it perish? Does it lay waiting to be unearthed? The uncertainty is a blank canvas where theories can easily take root. Whether one approaches the Ark from a perspective of faith or historical curiosity, it represents something profound, a connection to the divine, a symbol of God's covenant with the Israelites, or a relic of a bygone era. This emotional and spiritual dimension adds fuel to the quest. Secret societies, hidden clues, quests against the odds, all these elements make for gripping tales. The Ark is embedded in a storytelling tradition that, while not always historically accurate, is undeniably captivating. Deep down, we are drawn to the unsolved, the mysterious. The Ark, straddling history and legend, is the ultimate archaeological puzzle that may never have a definitive answer. While scientists discover makes for a thrilling headline, it's crucial to inject a dose of realism into the Ark of the Covenant narrative. Most reputable archaeologists view the Babylonian destruction of the first temple in 587 BC as the most likely end of the Ark. While not impossible, the survival of an intricately crafted, gold-covered wooden object over millennia, through battles and sieges, seems improbable. Locations based on legends often lack physical evidence to support archaeological exploration. Claims need tangible proof to transition from speculation to scientific process. Additionally, many of the places rumored to hold the Ark are actively used for worship. The search cannot come at the expense of violating religious sensitivities or disrupting communities built on deeply held beliefs. The Ark of the Covenant sits fascinatingly on the line between history, faith, and the enduring human desire to uncover the extraordinary. It's unlikely that any future discovery will fully satisfy everyone. After all, the enduring power of the Ark rests partly in its enigma. Is there a chance the Ark is still out there? Perhaps. But the true treasure might lie in what this ongoing search reveals about ourselves, our need for stories, our reverence for the past, and our unending capacity for wonder.
If you liked this video, then you'll like our next adventure over in Turkey. Ever heard of a place older than Stonehenge? Gobekli Tepe is a mind-boggling puzzle of massive stone pillars and intricate carvings, built before the wheel even existed. Who were these ancient architects? And what secrets do these stones hold? Let's dive into this prehistoric mystery together.
It was the consensus of archaeologists that megalithic architecture was beyond the capacities of hunter-gatherers and required the presence of long-term, settled agricultural communities to evolve. No megalithic architecture had been found anywhere in the world that was more than 6,000 years old. In fact, that was one of the main arguments that the archaeological police used to try to dismiss John West and Robert Schoch. They said, show us another culture that's 12,000 years old anywhere in the world, and we might listen to you. But we know that there is no culture capable of creating anything like the Sphinx until 4,500 years ago. That changed completely with Gobekli Tepe, which is a deliberately buried site, deliberately buried 11,600 years ago, and thus sealed, and thus an intact archaeological scene. And the evidence from Gobekli Tepe is that this site is 11,600 years old. It dates to the end of a period called the Younger Dryas. My goodness, if you're capable of creating these 20-ton megalithic pillars and this huge site, then you're certainly capable of creating the Great Sphinx.